Hey, welcome to the live stream, a Thanksgiving live stream. In this video, I'm going to be telling you about my experience at the Old State Saloon last night, listening to two liberals tell their story about how they transitioned, so to speak, to become conservative. It was wildly fascinating. I was so thrilled to go out there last night and listen to these two gentlemen share their stories. I've been to one other event and I did a video. I made a video about it. The gentleman was talking about gang activity and it was phenomenal. Old State Saloon is putting on some incredible events. You can check them out on YouTube, Old State Saloon YouTube channel. And also they're on Rumble and Twitter. They push these, they call them saloon casts. They're phenomenal with these amazing speakers. If you're a conservative leaning person or really just even a human being, quite frankly, and want to know things that are otherwise being suppressed from you, I'd highly recommend checking out Old State Saloon's YouTube channel and all their other channels. They're phenomenal speakers. If you're a fan of Ian Carroll, he's the guy. Let me show you. You'll know him. He's the guy who shares all sorts of stuff about, this is him right here. I hope you can see that. He shares all sorts of stuff about the food industry, well, all sorts of food, industrial products, food products, cosmetics. The fact that these companies all are kind of owned by a similar group of people. He's also talks a lot about Epstein and BlackRock and Mossad and Israel and all the stuff. I mean, you know him. If you're anywhere online looking for truth and information, you know of him. But he was one of the speakers last night. This gentleman was the other one here. He is actually a bartender at Old State right there. His name is Austin. And I'll share Austin Bassler, and it was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So I'm gonna share my takeaways with you from that event right now, and then we'll go forward. So if you get value out of this video, let me know. Let's start with Austin's story. His main takeaway was this. He was actually at BLM, Black Lives Matter rally in Vegas. Both of these gentlemen had a major wake-up call during COVID times, as did I, my own self, more towards 2022-ish. Austin had a major wake up. He was living in Las Vegas at the time, bartending, and his jobs were, he wasn't able to go to work, right? Because they were everything was shut down and nothing was open. And so he was struggling and putting the pieces together in his mind, like what's going on here. As he mentioned, he's watching these athletes pull multi-million-dollar contracts down and they're just fine, but he is struggling because of these LOCKDOWNS and such like that. And so he started putting it together, and then he also had a fortuitous encounter with a homeless woman who was wearing a MAGA hat. And he kind of berated her and said, "What are you doing with that MAGA hat?" And she said, "Well, you don't know what's up, kid," and kind of schooled him a little bit. And so he started this journey of investigating. And this is one of the underlying benefits from what happened during the last 4 years, is it woke a lot of people up. It was so bizarre and so out of the ordinary that it woke a lot of people up. And he was a liberal guy before. Like I said, he was at a BLM rally, and he had liberal tendencies, liberal ideologies. And he started researching and digging and over the course of time moved to the conservative platform. And he clearly is an inquisitive, curious guy and wants to know the truth. And that was his story. But because, and this is the common theme for both him and Ian and my own story too, I don't think anyone can ever wake up unless something happens that deliberately affects them, right? That deliberately affects their life. For me, it was politicians and the FDA who I know to be, let's just give them a big thumbs down and just be nice about it. I've talked about this before. I would not take anything from those people. I don't trust them at all. I don't trust them even more now. I didn't trust them prior to that experience, and I wouldn't trust them anymore now. So when they came on the scene and said, "Oh, we care about your health and wellness," I was like, to me, it struck me as radically incongruent with how I know them to be. 100%. Like, they don't ask me when they want to send my tax dollars overseas or bail out Wall Street or any of the other stupid things they do, but they're asking me to help them out and do them a solid. I'm not doing you a solid at all. So my point is this: until something happens that the people that are pulling the strings orchestrate and it touches a person, it touches someone, they may and they never will know. They never will ask questions. They never will wake up. That's my firm belief, because the level of deception and lies and brainwashing and programming is so deep that until there becomes a pattern interrupt, right? A pattern interrupt. The pattern interrupt for me was my government coming to me telling me they care about my health and wellness after decades of allowing food manufacturers to put some of the weirdest shit in foods. It's illegal in other countries, and our government lets them put it in there. So I know they're not for my health and wellness. So that was my pattern interrupt. But until that pattern interrupt happens and a person goes, whoa, this is out of character for you, or this doesn't sound right, they won't wake up. That's my firm belief. You're not just going to wake up on a Tuesday and go like, oh, I get it now. No, you got to see it. And Austin saw it because of his own personal experience. The other thing, let me just jump in here now. I'm trying to remember whether he's the one that talked about fear. He brought it up, and I think he brought it up, and I want to make sure. Yes, Austin also said, he talked about this idea that he said we're all propagandized and they use fear to control us. And I really resonated with that, because that's what it feels like to me too. If you're in America, if you're in the world, you are a victim of propaganda, and you're a victim of brainwashing and manipulation. It's just the way that it is. Maybe harder in America than other places. I don't know. I think all governments do it because they have to control people. It's the only way to control people, especially human beings that are created in the image and likeness of God and have discernment and intuition and curiosity. And we are thinkers if you leave us to our own devices. In order to control a being like that, you've got to use next level brainwashing and programming. You got to get them young too, because if you get it in there at a young age, then it'll stick, sometimes for a whole lifetime. So I really appreciated the fact that he said that we're all propagandized, and they use fear to control us. And that's what they did during COVID time. Heavy. Why do they use fear? Because it shuts down the prefrontal cortex and you can't think things through. And then you're easy to manipulate. Okay, so let's move on to Ian Carroll here, because he had another fascinating story. Very different from Austin's, but still fascinating nonetheless. So Ian Carroll, you know him. He's the guy who shares information on all platforms, conspiracy type stuff, world, like just knowledge. I mean, I just call it knowledge. But anyway, he is from Washington State, raised very liberal family, liberal friends. I guess it's all liberal up there. He lived in this bubble of liberalism his whole life. Prior to COVID times, he had started working out, getting stronger, hiking, lifting weights, etc. And he said, and I thought it was fascinating because I've never heard anyone say this before. He said when he started doing that, he started feeling stronger and didn't need to, these are his words, did not need to ask for help as much, didn't feel as, I guess, what did he say? Didn't feel as did he needed to lean on other people as much, and became more self-reliant, became more self-confident. And when they came on the scene and said, hey, we've got this thing for you and we really want you to take it, he was like, well, I'm in my mid to late 20s. I'm super healthy. I don't think I need it. And that was his rationale, right? But they were pushing it so hard that it woke him up, and he started questioning all sorts of things, and then he just went down the rabbit hole and went completely crazy. You know, he kind of seems like a dog on a bone kind of a guy. Like once you get a sniff of something fishy, you're just going to go for it. And that is often what happens. When you read about, I don't know if you've ever done this, when you read about other countries in history that this has happened to, where governments try to impose an ideology on the citizens, it's generally the ones who fight harder are the ones who were more bought in to the ideology before waking up. Have you noticed this? I've seen this pattern a number of times in looking at different events that Russia in the early 1900s with the Bolsheviks. There's another event that I don't know. Maybe that was with the gulags too. I think it was. I can't remember. I think it was. But there were people there that were a part of the party that was pushing these ideas prior to waking up. They fought the hardest. They were more pissed off, and I can see why. And I've seen this in my own experience working with liberal-leaning people on different projects in my own city. And once they see what's going on, they get really pissed, because the reality is, I think the progression, from my experience, the progression is from liberal to conservative to maybe libertarian and maybe even anarchist after that. I mean, I'm past conservative now because I see them as, I'm still a conservative person. Let's not get it twisted, but I'm past Republican now. Let's put it that way. So as far as boxes, because I see the Republicans have done heinous things. Bush is in Iraq, bailing out Wall Street. I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump coming on the scene again and saying, oh, now I'm going to drain the swamp. Now I'm going to make America great again. The past 4 years, again, he talked like a politician by excusing many of his actions. And I was pro him. I voted for him. I didn't vote for him this last time. I didn't vote for either one of the clowns because I just am like, you guys are yanking my chain. That's my personal experience. I hope it works out. I really do. I hope it works out for America, but I came to the realization that I can't support politicians that are going to yank my chain. We don't have time to yank change anymore. There are situations we need to address in our country. So I'm past that, but it seems like the transition is liberal, conservative, libertarian, maybe off the charts. I don't know. I never see people go in the other direction. I don't believe I've ever seen someone going from a conservative to a liberal. I don't know of anyone that does that. I don't know why that is, I don't know why that is. But again, Ian's story was, it didn't compute. It didn't compute for him, even raised super liberal. All the people around him, I'm sure, were buying the government story because in general, my experience is liberals tend to believe in government. Conservatives, they don't believe in government. This is why many conservatives didn't go along with the narrative and started, waking up in a bigger way, because they believe what Ronald Reagan said back in the 80s. Government doesn't solve problems, they create them. It is indelibly tattooed on my brain, and I'm assuming on other conservative brains. Again, not even just blindly following that statement, but seeing firsthand. I've never seen anything the government has done at the federal level and even at state levels, but mostly at the federal level. I've never seen anything they've done that's been something that just blows me away with the execution or the design I've never seen it. It's always been a complete shit show. Affordable Care Act, give me a freaking break. Withdrawal from Afghanistan, Vietnam War, financial bailouts, what did Barney Frank and was it Chris Dodd, Frank and Dodd, the bill they did back in with the financial thing? I don't know where it went. I've never seen anything come from that. You know, I know the Affordable Care Act. Some people call it Obamacare. I know the Affordable Care Act. It didn't fix my situation. I still think things are expensive. I don't know anyone who thinks the healthcare situation in our country is awesome. So, and also then you look at other countries and historically what they've done. I've never seen a time when people have been thrilled about who they voted for and what the promises government's going to give them. So I just don't, I have a very difficult time understanding why people trust government, given the fact that me personally, with my own eyes, has never seen anything wonderful they've done, like results wise. They talk a good game. What got built back better? What was built better in the Biden administration? It wasn't the border. It wasn't Afghanistan. It wasn't the financial, the state of our country. It wasn't the health of the dollar. It wasn't the relationship between government and people, because he was very domineering and imposing and making that stupid speech in September of 2021 that really opened my eyes when he told people their patients were wearing thin. It wasn't building relationships. I don't see anything built back better. You know, that's one of the big things that's striking me recently. And I've got another video coming out in the Hot Topic series on my channel of a gentleman leaving Canada saying, hey, you know, government's doing things that we don't think are appropriate, that we don't want, that they're spending money in funny ways. They're doing things underhanded, behind the scenes, trying to sneak things through. The problem with that is that government doesn't seem to either know about or care about. I think it's probably care about, is that damages the relationship between the citizens and the government. And here's what I've come to conclude. I've come to conclude that they don't care. They don't care about damaging relationship between the people alive right now and themselves, because they know they've got a fresh group of minds that are molded, that are going to come in unaware of the damaged relationships of prior Americans, or Canadians in this case. They don't care. They don't care. They're pushing their agenda, burning out the relationships that are, like, right now, I don't think the GOV could ever pull a situation like COVID again. I don't think it would ever happen. Just like another Vietnam would never happen. You know, when I see images and read articles about Vietnam and the trust that was broken, and almost like a betrayal between Americans and the government for the complete and total shit show that was. I need to do a deep dive on that and learn some subtle nuances. They'll never be able to do it again, but they just wait a few generations till people forget, and then they hammer again. It's sinister. It's so sinister. But once you get their number, you know what's up. And this is why I encourage people, if you have children, share it. That's why I speak out, right? That's why I speak out and share this information, because we need to be communicating with one another, you know? Anyway, that's my 2 cents. 2 very different stories, but both of them happened during COVID times. My big awakening happened during COVID times. Now, as Ian was closing his speech, he did talk briefly about the wonderful opportunities that are the wonderful events that are happening at Old State Saloon, and the opportunities. Mark Fitzpatrick is a phenomenal guy. You can check out the interview that I was able to have him on and talk with him in the interview series on my channel. Fascinating individual, doing God's work, sharing knowledge and information, waking people up, becoming a beacon of light in this crazy world, and giving people a stage, like Austin, like Ian, like many others, talking about all the topics that at least conservatives are thinking about. I think everyone's probably thinking about them. You know, the hot topics. So anyway, that's my piece. Phenomenal. You can probably watch this on their YouTube channel. Like I said, let me say also something else. It was called Transitioning, the story of 3 liberals turning to conservative. There were only 2 gentlemen talked, but you can check it out. It's really good. The other thing I want to say is, apparently Ian has done a 3-part series talking about all the big topics, or you know them all, right? And you can find that on their YouTube channel. The one of them is 2 hours long. I've got it queued up, ready to go. It starts off phenomenal. So I'm gonna be watching that. And if you want to watch that, I highly recommend you go do that. It looks really freaking good. He's a very good presenter. All right. Thank you for checking out this live stream. I appreciate you. I want to also invite you to check out One Life, which is the system that I created to help you discover your purpose and plan your life around your purpose, and also execute every day, overcome fear, doubt, limitation. It's basically a done for you system with all of these ideas slash mental tools, right? To help you do the thing you came here to do, right? Discover your purpose, discover your why, right? When you have a strong why, the how is going to almost do itself. And then also all of these different tools and techniques, and the one master technique, which is all about transforming the way that you see yourself. That's the core practice in One Life, right? It's a system and a guide that is designed to help you become the person that does the things that you want to do in life, that light you up, that are in alignment with your purpose, so that you can have the life that you want. You can learn more at thisismyonelife.com. Also, I want to invite you to check out the Media Business Blueprint. Right now, there's an incredible opportunity I feel in the world, and that opportunity is this. You have probably seen many people are waking up. There is a voracious hunger for knowledge right now because many people realize we've been lied to and deceived for a long time. I feel right now it could even be called one of the best opportunities out there given the economic state of the world, and that is building a media business. People are hungry for knowledge. If you like researching, if you like investigative journalism, if you like learning things yourself, you may be and you like tech, you got to like tech. You may be well positioned. Maybe you don't even have to like tech. Your curiosity and inquisitiveness in what's going on and desire to know for yourself would probably be enough. The tech can be learned. What can't be learned is a natural affinity for finding out information, informing yourself. That can't be learned. I'll teach you the tech side. It's very easy. I see people of all ages. You've seen these people. In some cases, they're older and maybe even retired people. They're getting on the scene. They see what's up. The tech is not a big hurdle to get over. It takes a little doing. Yeah, it takes some investigating. But the reality is, all of the information is out there, and I'll give you the information. That's part of the Media Business Blueprint. But the Media Business Blueprint, again, you can learn more at mediabusinessblueprint.com, but it's 2 steps. Step 1 is talking about things, and I have a whole video on this on the page there that you can be redirected to. Step 1 is talking about things that people want to learn about. Step 2 is solving their problems. And the way you solve their problems is you think of what problems you've solved yourself for you. If you've gotten results for you, you can get results for someone else. Yeah, that's what One Life is. One Life is solved the problem I had of getting clarity on what I wanted to be, do, and have in life. And that's aligned with my purpose and my mission in life, which comes from God. And then also executing. The other core about One Life is this. It's action-based. Everything that goes into One Life. There's a knowledge management system. There's a project management system, again, based on 17 years working in design and space planning in the office furniture industry, and a stint of a few years in commercial structural design. Project management, knowledge management, self-management at the end of the day, right? Time management, all geared toward taking action. That's the hurdle for human beings. Many people have great ideas. Many people have great ideas. A lesser percentage execute consistently every day on those ideas for a myriad of different reasons. But that's what One Life is about. It's all action oriented. On the knowledge management system side of things, every piece of information and knowledge that you acquire on your journey in any different category of your life, you always ask yourself, how will I use this? Where will I use this? Right? And that's how you put it into your knowledge management system. You don't put it in there in a sense of just acquiring it. You always put it in with the mindset of, how am I going to use this? And then, of course, systems thinking, which I have a whole section on systems thinking, because systems are the shizzle. I'm telling you that, James Clear said it. You will rise or fall to the level of your systems. So that's One Life. But the reason I got off on that tangent is because that's my offering, solving my problem, right? It's all serving someone is about giving them helping someone is about giving them a product or a service or an experience. One Life, Media Business Blueprint. Also, go pick up the Great Awakening Guide. Again, that's my free offering to you, because it has all the resources of all of these documentaries and movies and books, etc., to help you understand what's going on in the world so you can stay safe, right? Knowledge is power, big time power. So check out those things. I appreciate you. There's a link somewhere around on my YouTube or maybe in the bottom of this video with all those resources. And until next time, I appreciate you. Have an awesome day. Thanks for hanging out with me on Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.